we are all are here today for this talk show. It's a part of Synergy where we are going to discuss some relevant topics and which are very important these days for aspiring students, for entrepreneurs and job-oriented people. So we will invite some resource person, some guest faculties, and we will discuss about these things. So today we have a very interesting topic, that is leadership skills and emotional intelligence. And for that, we have with us a very renowned guest, Dr. Bhaskar Bora. So, heartiest welcome to you to Synergy Confab. And as the word suggests, confab, we are not going to make it very serious. It's a for the very important. Really, the topic is very complex, very serious, but we are going to take it in a very informal way. So this is about this talk show. So I would like to introduce Dr. Bhaskar Bora. He is a London-based doctor. He's also an entrepreneur and he's a motivational speaker. So I think he has a restaurant, Samsara, in Sutton, London, and he's authored 2 books. And I have authored it. I'll read it soon. These books are very famous. They are bestsellers. The first book is The Second Chance in Life, and the second one is Reflections on Love, and it's an anthology of some 100 poems. So I was talking with him before Simanto Goswami joined, and I told him that after coming to know about him personally, I have named him as Brave Heart. So there's so much to learn from you. Everything that you say will inspire people. And about the topic, we have another speaker with us, Simanto Goswami, and I can proudly announce he's my mentor, he's my partner, and he's specialized in soft skills, marketing mapping, competency mapping, sales and marketing, and gender sensitization. He is a professional trainer, and he is trained in many eminent government organizations like IOCL Marketing, IOCL Refinery, All India Assam Police, banks like Central Bank of India, UBI, Apex Bank, NF Railway, staffs of the Dibrugarh University, and he's a resource person in Indian Institute of Entrepreneurship, Administrative Staff College for Government Officers, Postal Training, and Institute of Cooperative Management, Government of India. So the list is very long. I have made it small and I have not included everything. And another introduction I would love to give about him is that he is also a great poet. He doesn't like to say that. He doesn't like me to say that, but I want to say this. He's owner of that golden badge from Motivational Strips and Gujarat Sahitya Academy, and it is awarded to exceptional literary merits. And soon he'll also get a book published for his poems. So that is his introduction. So I will not take much time. Let us straight away go to our topic. And I would love to know the perspective from both sides. From you, it will be a very different one and very interesting. And for him, he'll be very talking about the technical things and the terms, the different components of emotional intelligence and leadership skill. So I'm just handing over this to Simanto Goswami. You can please start.
Okay. So emotional intelligence first. What is emotional intelligence? And why it is so essential and how it is connected to leadership. So emotional intelligence is what? It is the ability to recognize first your emotions. After that, regulate that emotions. After that, manage that emotion to a positive end, to a positive direction. Means there is no bad and good emotions if you know how to control, if you know how to regulate. Because if you can, first thing is that your thought, your belief that we can control our emotion. because it is in us. It is in our control. It is not an outsider. And if we think that, then only we can, we can adjust, we can adopt, we can alter some bad feelings to a different, thing. Means a bad feeling which may be destructive, which may be havoc-wreaking, that can be altered to a positive emotion. And how that is possible? There are different methods. How that is possible? Many people, they think that, oh, emotions are uncontrollable. My anger is, I have my anger, I cannot control my anger. But that is not the thing. We can. We can. It is in our control. It is not an outsider. So that is why we can control. But how? Always we become instinctive. But say, for example, one emotion. If I feel bad for something, for some situation, I have no control on that situation. But for that situation, I have an idea. I have a belief. And it depends upon that belief. Say, for example, I went to a house, I went to somebody's house, invited me for a birthday party. And in that party, I think the host didn't mingle with me or didn't, was not that much nice to me as he or she used to be. Then I will feel humiliated. Those things will come to my mind. Now that is the thing. That is the bad emotion. We have to be aware of that. Now that belief, we have to dispute with that bad belief. Otherwise, it will be impossible. That belief, that negative belief, will give a very negative consequence if we nurture that. So that much of awareness, self-awareness, we have to increase. If I take the example of my friend Pascal. So earlier, when he had that difficulty, he had some pains, and that pain leads to different feelings. He has some idea in the beginning. He has some idea that, okay, my life is ruined. What can I do? I cannot teach students. I cannot attend to patients. So what will be my position? That thing, I think, triggered in the beginning. But then what he did? He started increasing his self-awareness. Because for emotional intelligence, intrapersonal emotional intelligence, because emotional intelligence is not only controlling your own emotions, it is also the ability to recognize and regulate the emotions of other people. So there are two parts, intrapersonal and interpersonal. For intrapersonal, to enhance the intrapersonal emotional intelligence, you have to increase self-awareness. So he increased his self-awareness, and he had a self-image about himself. He remembered that in the past he didn't write bad. So he thought that, okay, I don't have control. Correct me if I'm wrong, Mr. Bhaskar.
Mm-hmm.
I stand to be corrected if I'm wrong. Okay. So he thought that, okay, uh, he started self-reflection and he unearthed his potential of writing. He thought, okay, I am like this. But there are a lot of people, they are in much worse position than me. I have my hands, I have my legs. I can speak, I can see. So what he did, he channelized his attention not on the area of concerns on which he has no control. Because his difficulty, which he had, the physical difficulty, he has no control on that. Yes or no? But
Yes,
he has
yes.
control.
Mm-hmm.
He has not control on that, but he has got influence. He went on enhancing his area of influence. Okay, I can write. I have my hands. He has reframed the situation. He has reframed the situation. That means what he has done, there is a very there is one ability called reprisal ability. Reprisal is a widely studied emotion regulated strategy, and it involves cognitive reframing the meaning of a situation to alter its emotional impact. So it changes the meaning of the situation. The situation was like that, I should behave like this. It alters its emotional impact. So he has done that by reducing the negative emotions he felt. For example, I went home and nothing is there, only puri sabji was there, and that also fell down. Then I don't have any other resources. Now, what I'll do? I can do a lot of things. What happened? Why it happened to me like that? Or like, again, I have to go. Again, I have to prepare all these things. No, but you can take it in a positive way also. So he may think, okay, I am better off than many people having no food. That is one response. So Bhaskar also had such type of responses. I can have some snacks later, part of the day. It's good for me, my diet, because in the morning I had a very sumptuous breakfast and that too late. So it's up to me which one I select. That is represent. So Bhaskara had also different, here also positive, he has reframed the situation which he had and he has changed his emotions. Yeah, I can write. This situation helped me to self-reflect and find out that person, that Bhaskar, the writer. This is emotional intelligence. And it is the basis of leadership skills. It is the foundation of leadership skills. It is the foundation. It increases self-belief. It increases self-motivation. It increases, your self-confidence. it decreases. It can manage the stress if you have high emotional intelligence. A leader, he leads, and he can be a very good decision maker. No decision, it's not neurologically correct that a decision can be taken without emotion. There has to be emotion. It's not neurologically correct. So Bhaskar has gone through the reprisal, he has got the reprisal ability. He has inculcated reprisal ability. And there are other things like, one more thing which I want to say, that is neuroplasticity. It is also very important. He has also done that. What is neuroplasticity? Increasing the ability of the brain to adopt and change. He has some problems. Now, he has increased the ability of the brain to adopt and change. But neuro doesn't mean, but the brain is not plastic. The nerve cells are the building blocks of the brain. So neuroplasticity is what? Allowing the nerve cells to adjust and change. It accepted his present condition and changed his emotions, feelings. That means what? He focused on the area of control and the area of influence. There are some things on which we have direct control, and there are certain things on which we don't have our direct control. We have to increase our area of influence. But there are certain things on which we don't have our influence as well as control, like that difficulty he faced, that we have to accept. Simply that we have to accept. So a leader, if he is a very goal-oriented, he sees that, okay, whether my people are happy or not, whether they're enjoying their job or not, because the effect, then only he will get the effectivity. Otherwise, if a person is not good, he has low emotional intelligence, then people will not be happy working under him. They look at the clock. When 6 p.m. comes, then I can go home. So that person, he'll see, okay, this person, what is his facial expressions? What is his non-verbal communication? Whether his emotion matches with that non-verbal cues. He is motivating. He is demonstrative. That is why a manager, there are a lot of people, they are in good positions, but they cannot be a leader because they don't have leadership skills. And it is from 1995, this term emotional intelligence has come. Prior to that, it was thought that IQ, intelligent quotient, was the main thing to get to be successful. Then it was seen that there was a surprising change which has been noticed, that the people who have mediocre emotional intelligence, they are doing much better than the people having very good emotional intelligence. They are good at that work in their domain of knowledge, but when they are into a high position, they have to be generic also. They have to have that quality also, leading the team. They have to have the people skills, the soft skills, the emotional intelligence. And that's this thing that, okay, emotional intelligence is very much essential to go up the ladder of success. So now EI is given more importance. IQ is required. IQ is also very important. But to be a leader, you have to have EQ. Your EQ should be stronger.
So, Mr.
A
Simanto,
leader is always.
before
So
you
thank
go
you.
ahead, yes,
So let us.
can I ask Mr. Dr. Bhaskar Bora one thing, that how did he has talked about reframing and neuroplasticism? These are the terms. Like, how have you gone through these things, to overcome and that, and how it has been helpful to what is your process for this?
Sure. Thank you very much. So it's wonderful to be here, first of all. So yeah, I've been listening to everything that Samantha has said, and everything is absolutely right. It makes a huge amount of sense, and it is a process. It is a process. It's not something that happens overnight. So in my case, I can tell you what has happened, that when I went through the life-changing event, when I had the life-changing injury of not just one but or two diagnoses of the spinal cord injury followed by the cancer. So I did go through the processes or all the normal stages of grief, for feeling upset, feeling sad, feeling uh, as to asking the questions, why it happened to me, what had I done wrong, what did I do to deserve all this, and all of that. So, and that's a natural process. And I must emphasize on the point that in if somebody do feel these things, there's nothing to be guilty about it, because these are normal human emotions. And it is important to be able to appreciate those emotions as well, because only when you have those foundations, then you can build up your second level and third level sort of thing. But there comes a point that when you have your back driven up to the wall, so basically when there is nothing left to lose more, that is when actually you can find out how strong you are. So till we are within our comfort zone, we don't challenge ourselves, so we don't necessarily discover how strong or how resilient we are. It is only when you come to the point, say for in my case, spent 7 months in the hospital, had to leave my medical practice, the only thing I ever wanted to do, the only thing I ever thought I would be able to do. I never thought I'd be able to write a book or be a motivational speaker. The only thing I knew was just to practice medicine, prescribe, and make people better. But when it came to that point that I knew that there was nothing more to lose, my only two options were either have to give up, commit suicide, or sit down as a depressed person forever, or to rediscover myself. It was then when I started trying to find my own inner self, so trying to find and the thing is, we can look as much as we want, we can look outside, but the journey starts when we start looking within. And that is what I started doing. So I started trying to see, okay, I have lost so many things, but then there are so many others in this world who have also lost so many things. Maybe my experiences of being a doctor and seeing so many other people suffer. I had been looking after several nursing homes in the West. Basically means people like old age homes or care homes sort of thing. So where I have seen where people, even young people who have been institutionalized because they have had severe brain injury, that sort of thing. So I then realized that actually, although I have lost a lot, but there is still a lot in me. I had still got a fully functional brain. I still had my hands to use, although three fingers of my right hand didn't work. So I thought that why don't I start looking at a point of being the glass half full rather than being half empty? And that's when my journey started. And the one of the points which I remember where it was almost like a big turning point was the day when I was incontinent in my bed, and I wet my bed because I could not call the nurse on time, and I basically was lying in my own urine. And then I eventually managed to call the nurse by ringing the bell, and the nurse came, and she was very, very kind. She was very kind. She was very professional. She changed the bed, she stripped me naked, changed my clothes and everything. So, but at that point, I realized two things. One is that will I really let myself to be helpless for the rest of my life and let somebody else do everything for me? And second thing was I also realized that how many times have I done this as a doctor during my postgraduate training or even during my medical training to other patients, but I did not realize what that patient must have been feeling. And that is where the empathy factor came in. So these two revelations were very, very important. And I think that was the day when I kind of realized that no, I can't hang up my boots yet. I need to start something. I need to do something where I can still be useful. And there must be a reason why this has happened. Most of the time, it is not apparent at that particular moment why something has happened. But when you look at your hindsight, it often does tell you that yes, there must be a reason that this has happened, and it is then up to you as to what you want to make out of it. Like Samantha was saying, there are certain things which are within our control, and there are certain things which are not within our control. For example, you're going on the road, somebody comes and hits you from outside, that is not within your control. I went for a minor surgery. The surgeon did something wrong, or not intentionally. I hope, and but something went wrong, and I ended up being paralyzed. So that was not within my control. Similarly, for example, you are there in an organization. Somebody talks behind your back, says bad things about you. Uh, so that is not within your control. But what is within your control is how you react towards it. So that is exactly what I'm trying to say is basically, so it wasn't within my control as to what happened to me, but how I would react to it, whether I would let go of my life forever and become a vegetable, or whether I want to try and turn this adversity into some new opportunities, whether I let go of my small egos and concentrate on something more important in life, or whether I try to actually now learn from my experiences as a patient. All these years, I have learned what a doctor does. I did not learn what a patient feels or what a patient does. So now is my opportunity to feel as a patient, and that is exactly what we talk about: empathy and compassion and all that. So I think that is where my journey started, and the journey is still going on. It is a part of an evolution. I won't say I'm spiritually evolved, but I think I'm emotionally much more evolved than what I was. And I can therefore relate when I talk to someone, when I give my talks or I speak to someone. I can actually tell them from my own experience, not just from their theories or the technical terms, but I can actually relate from my experience that this is what I have gone through. And if I have gone through this, then I am sure you will be able to go through this as well.
One more thing, Bhaskar just reminded me something about
Sure.
empathy. One is intrapersonal, I said, for that self-awareness which you had. I'm taking you as an example, as a case study, because we had a lot of talks in your those adverse days. Uh, but I was always positive. You. And second is interpersonal emotional intelligence means what? Two things are very essential. One is you have to increase your empathy. Second thing is that you have to increase your the nurturing relationship nurturing habit. Regarding you, earlier you have been very good as a doctor, as a businessman, as a you were also distributor, you're into distribution and lot of businesses you have done. You have 3 houses in London, you have a hotel. But at that time, uh, your emotional intelligence was there, your empathy was there, but it has increased after you got the time to self-reflect. When you saw within you, when you saw found that writer in you,
True.
because I have seen certain things. Because there is a girl, very inspiring. She's very inspiring, Arati. So hi, Arati, and Arati, she has good contacts with me. She used to always take advice. She's a very good fighter entrepreneur. and she
Mm.
has not got any help. But she was always positive. That was the main thing. That I said that you will one day rise, because she has not got any help from government and all. And she used to call me a lot of times. Means Simantata Ahibo Ahibo, but I never could visit her place. But you, in spite of your, all these disabilities, I don't say disabilities, your difficulties. Um, when you last time came, you made it a point to visit her place, and she also got frustrated because people will. Uh, she has fought a lot, but when you visited, that means a lot for her because it boosted her. That thing. It boosted her a lot, and she again restarted her business. So that is very essential. That empathy is very essential. That uh, if we increase our empathy, gratitude, the interpersonal relationship will increase. Not it is like nurturing your interpersonal relationship, and if you increase your empathy, your communication skill also improves because speaking from heart is different. How much of you may be very good at in your English speaking, but if you don't speak from your heart, you cannot connect.
I think that is
That
a
is
very important point,
very
very,
important.
very important point. I
So
think what
increasing
is
empathy.
really
Yeah,
important
thank
in
you.
terms of interpersonal relationships,
Yeah,
or in terms of whether it is talking about compassion and everything, the most important thing is to be able to to be honest
honest.
about what you say. So and be able to say it in a way that other people understand. There's no point in me going somewhere and mentioning lots of medical jargon to prove, and because that's what lots of people do, to show that they are, to prove that they are more literate than others, sort of thing. So whether you're a doctor, engineer, professor, maybe an English literature professor or whatever, lots of people take pride in talking lots of jargon, yeah,
Yes,
and not really talking to the audience, or shall I say, they talk to the audience, not with the audience. That is a very important thing, I think. So
so
one has to be very honest about how they're expressing themselves. It is always useful if you can use yourself as an example, because it's easy to give examples from others, but if you give your own examples of your own failures, of your own battles, then people can connect more easily. But it is very important that you talk in the language that people understand. Even if that means broken English, even if that means broken Assamese, or even talking like an illiterate, also, that's a different there.
yeah,
But it has to be at the language that people understand. So
people
therefore,
understand.
when I talk with a group of other doctors or give a talk to a group of doctors, that level is different as opposed to when I talk to students, as opposed to when I talk to my patients. So that is where the communication skills come into play as well.
So hence it is proved that uh, increasing your empathy is increasing your emotional intelligence. If you have good emotional intelligence, you're a very good leader. Your communication skill is very good. You can connect with people. You can feel people's feelings and emotions. You know, so it's very important. Empathy is very important, and it is
I think
possible.
Anshumala wants to say something, I think.
Yes, please.
Yeah, I just wanted to say that he was talking about that reframing, and you have given a example, you have a live example of what is reframing, so it became very easier to understand. So how you reframe yourself from that episode when you had to call the nurse to clean you, and so it was like that time you thought that I have to do something about it, I have to overcome this thing. So that's how you have reframed, like you was saying, that you can control your emotions, you need to program yourself. So you have done that. So you have from your example, you have cleared the concept in a very nice way. That's what I wanted to say.
Thank you. I think the first and foremost thing here is acceptance. So that is the first step. You see,
Acceptance.
have a form of denial. We all use denial to certain extent. And denial is a good short-term strategy as well. Sometimes, ignorance is bliss, as they say, but you cannot use it forever. It is at
It will
some
resurface. It will
it is
resurface.
important. Yeah,
If you run away from emotions, and if you want to some bad emotions, you think like a bad emotion or havoc-wrecking emotions. If you run away, or if you deny, then it will again resurface.
it will resurface. Yes. So you cannot do that forever. So there has to be a point where you start accepting things. For example, as much as I think that, yeah, I want to do this, I want to do that, but it is important for me to accept that, yes, things will not be normal for me again, ever again. So my normal will be slightly different from your normal. That does not make me any inferior or superior or whatever. It is just different. So my scale of normality is a bit different to what somebody else is. And therefore, I then reset my button with that new normality. Right. So, and then you see, one of the biggest problems that we face, whether it's because of our ego or whether it is because of our understanding, but one is problem with asking for help and also for other people to offer for help. Yeah. And that is where again empathy comes into play. So I now have come to understand and accept the fact that there are certain things which I cannot do. For example, I cannot walk my dog, I cannot cycle, I cannot play football or cricket with my friends or with my daughters. So those are things I cannot do. But there is no point in just crying and moaning about it, the why can't I do this, why can't. Instead, I have to find other things which I can do in place of that. So that is the first bit. So once you're able to accept what you can do, what you cannot do, where you need to be independent, to try to be independent, and where you need your help, where you know your strengths, where you know your limitations, because both are important. It is very important to know what our strengths are, but at the same time, it is also important for us to know what our limitations are. And that is particularly important in organizational behavior. We often get into this fix that we want to do everything ourselves, right? For example, let me just give you an example of synergy. Synergy is something now you have created, right? So you want it to evolve and grow just in the way you want it. So therefore, you would want to micromanage it, right? So as a baby, which needs 24/7 care. But as the organization grows, as your responsibilities grow, then there will come a point where you will have to start delegating things, because you have to understand that these are things which perhaps I should not be doing. Instead, I should be prioritizing on marketing or doing something else, whereas the operations can be done by somebody else. Similarly, my skill set is probably best in these fields, whereas my skill set is not best in the computing. I'm just giving an example. So it is important to understand those limitations, letting go of those things. You still have to oversee it, but then you form an infrastructure, a supporting structure under you, which will help the organization as well as yourself to grow. That is where we often get ourselves into a maze that we cannot let go of things. We want to control everything. We want everything to be micromanaged, and then we get stuck in the rut. So that
Yeah,
is an important thing. So understanding your strengths as well as limitations. And then
we
comes
are.
the thing which I think we will be touching as we go before,
I want to ask
when we go
something.
forward,
I
which
want
would
to
be about
interrupt.
decision making. Yeah. So, but yeah,
Yeah,
I'll come back to you.
yeah. I wanted to ask that, like you're saying about the limitations that I am having. See, you're talking from a position where you have no option. I know people who are they have everything. They are healthy and they can, but still there is some inhibitions in them. They everything is normal, that still they can't go for cycling. They are scared to drive the car. These things are there because even if you are okay, you have all the things perfect, inhibitions and limitations always exist. So what do you suggest, that same kind of what kind of reframing or what kind of programming they should do. Like for you, it was like you did not have any other option. You had to
Mhm.
come out of it. You had to overcome it. But for people, for students, or some people are having good job, they're having problems in their life, personal life, and that is making them very depressed. They don't show it, you know, outwardly they don't show it, but from inside they are having that pain. It's very
Sure.
painful. So
Mhm.
how do they overcome all that?
Right.
For
But
So
just
uh,
a minute, before going back to you, just I want to say, outward they don't show, but they cannot hide it, because when there is an emotion, there are certain things. One, they will have an idea, then they will have some physical, physical sensations, and those things will reflect. You got my point. Those things will reflect.
yeah.
They cannot
So that
hide
is
it.
that is what we call a psychosomatic
Because
behavior. It will come up in
yes,
psychosomatic behaviors. Yeah. So let me take you right down to the level of neurology. Yeah. So what happens in our brain as we talk about the neurotransmitters and everything? So the brain it's all wires, like just like your electric wires. So it's a fuse, it's a big motherboard with lots of fuses in there. Yeah. So in my case, half of my motherboard is gone, so therefore it cannot be treated now. So, but what I'm trying to say is that basically the inhibitory fibers are the ones who are more superficial. So if you consider a ring, uh, one ring on top of another ring on top of another ring, just like the concentric rings of a tree, you'll find that the facilitative fibers are actually deeper inside. They are the core, and they are surrounded by the inhibitory fibers. And then on top of that, there is the neural sheet. So, what I'm trying to explain is basically our inhibition too is our default position. Okay. So if something goes, and therefore when we call about an upper motor neuron lesion, say for example, যেতিয়া মানুহৰ stroke হয় বা কিবা তেনেকুৱা, when it happens at the level of your spinal cord and above, তেতিয়াহলে your reflexes become hyper reflexive, or they increase because the inhibitory fibers are gone first. Okay. So similarly in our behavior, কিবা এটা যদি কাবাৰ মানে তোমাৰ frontal lobe tumor হল কিবা হল, then they say the inhibition is gone and people start behaving badly. And that is one of the primary ways of finding out how if somebody has got a frontal lobe tumor, brain tumor. But coming back to your point is, so our default position is inhibition. We don't want to go out of our comfort zone. We don't want to do things which have a slightest chance of ridicule, because you don't want to be ridiculed, be laughed at. Yeah. So we want to do just what we are comfortable with. Okay. So you don't want to take up a challenge unless you really have to, or unless somebody actually decides that they would want to prove it either to themselves or to somebody else. So small things then become big problems. But if somebody is able to, either by traveling or by reading or by understanding others or by putting themselves in others' shoes, if they broaden their horizon of thinking, right? Which Simanto says very nicely, area of influence, area of control, right? So if we can broaden that horizon, তেতিয়াহলে আমাৰ সেই বুজিবলৈ বেছি সহজ হ'ব যে প্ৰব্লেম অকল মোৰে নাই, প্ৰব্লেম চবৰে আছে। মোৰ প্ৰব্লেমটো মোৰ কাৰণে বহুত ডাঙৰ, কিন্তু আনজন মানুহৰ কাৰণে his problems are the biggest ones. So তুমি মানে there's a thing in personal management. I think I am the most important person in this world. So when you are doing your HR, you have to understand that that is what the other person is thinking about himself, and that is how you have to treat that person, show him the importance. So similarly, if we think that we are the only ones with the problem, that's a wrong thing. Yes, I have my problems, but so have you. Your problems are different to me. Some people can mask it with a smile, others cry more than they should. So it's just a different way of expression. Kintu problem sobore ase. We all have to fight our own battles. So if people understand that, yes, relationship in itself is a big topic, and they are probably the most fragile thing in the world. Yeah. So relationship is the fragile equine. We all come alone, we go alone. Everything else that comes in is a bonus, right? But we give so much importance to relationships, especially boyfriend, girlfriend, and this and that. So that means at the end of the world. But actually, it's not the case. It is something which time is the best healer, but you have to let yourself be open, be receptive for that healing to happen.
So I want to ask something to
And
Simanto Goswami regarding what you have said. Like for you, from your position, from your knowledge, from your experiences, everything, you're already, you know these things, you have experienced it, so you know how to trigger those things to,
see, first
like
thing, what
how to
is,
help yourself. But so many people don't know, how they'll help. So what do you think, there should be any such course about, say, emotional intelligence or something like that, which could
yes,
really help people or teach them that if you are in this situation, these are the process you should go through. What do you have to say about this?
see, first thing, what he said is very correct. What I said again, I will repeat that. Those people who have inhibitions, or they don't want to say, that's you're asking that, man. Mm.
How will they help themselves, because they
Yeah,
don't know,
how,
they don't know.
yeah, yeah, they don't know. Yeah, first thing, the thing, first, what he said about inhibitions, that is very correct. See, they are focused on that fear. That is why, and that fear, that concern is is controllable. And that thing, their perception is that they cannot change, they cannot refrain. So those people needs needs to be motivated. That's the role of the leader, to motivate. A leader who has high emotional intelligence, they can discover. And now, coming back to your point, yes, there are processes, because there are certain people. What are the self-motivated people? They will not wait for other people to pick them up. They themselves, they pick them. তাহারক বেলেগে উঠাই দিব নালাগে problem from any dungeon or from any bad position or difficult position, I mean to say. Yesterday, when I was uh, conducting a program, when I was there in a postal institute, I am interacting with the students. They're not students, sorry, they are new recruits. And there one person I found out, what Bhaskar correctly told, he is a person with difficulty, PWD case. And he said that I want to say something. He cannot speak English, he cannot see, he's a Malayali guy. He cannot speak anything. He can only, somehow but he communicated with the people. Then one of the boys said, sir, he want to say something. And he said, it was translated, because he is a famous figure in Kerala, a good motivator, motivating people. Yes, there are videos about him. He is the he's the India's champion of 445 kilometers. That's not running. What we call, Oscar?
Marathon.
I think.
Marathon.
For marathon. So marathon. So he said from the beginning, he has programmed his mind in that way that from the beginning, during his childhood only, he also heard a lot of things, but he said no. He thought that I will do something. I will do something different. I will do something great. He is not concerned about his, about his problems, on which he has no control. He said when he heard, me, that he was very much motivated to speak, and he said that from the beginning only I thought that I have to do something. Then he sought what I love to do. And he found out that I love to work. I'll do something in this field. And today he got the job because of this sports quota. But coming, yes, they need training. They need, and there are certain people who you say they cannot pick themselves up. They have inhibitions. They think that I have no control on my emotions. So they need training. That is why the role of motivator are essential. That is why there are different techniques, different methods, which synergy is going to introduce very soon. Different methods. And say, for example, I have spoken about reappraisal. I have spoken about neuroplasticity. There are other pseudoscientific psychotherapy processes like neurolinguistic. So there are a lot of things, and all these are the basis of all these are to be meditative. You have to. Bhaskar said that I'm not more emotional than the spiritual, which I could emotionally. He has upgraded himself much more, but because of his spirituality, the spirituality comes in somewhere, knowingly or unknowingly, because how we can self-reflect.
Yes,
So,
if I can interject at that point.
yeah, yeah.
So basically, when somebody talks about spirituality, immediately people think, oh, he's just trying to just show off. Or when you talk about spirituality, you think about a sadhu sitting on the Himalayas doing meditation and all that. But actually, spirituality is real when it is a part of your daily life. That is what real spirituality is. And real spirituality is basically just trying to understand yourself in an honest way, and trying to get rid of the unnecessary baggage that you have got.
Yes.
So I'll just, you may have seen it in the reels or YouTube shorts. So there's a professor who demonstrates very nicely. There's a big vessel at a glass or at a dangor at a so he puts in some big rocks, big stones in there. Okay. Then he golf balls of stones. Then he puts in some small stones, and then he puts in some sand. Right? So the big rocks, meaning the big milestones in life or the big things that you want in your life, the smaller stones being the regular day-to-day activities, and sand is all the unnecessary things that we've got. Now, if we did it the other way around and we already put in a lot of sand in there won't be any space for the big rocks or even the small stones. So spirituality is actually trying to get rid out of that unnecessary sand so that you can put in the important things in there. So it is about, in simple terms, it is about, people talk about, oh, he muk namatile, he iman dangor manu hoi gol, he muk tar ghorot namate, he muk tao dekhaise. So those sort of things. I have to be the general secretary, it will not work, that sort of thing, right? But I have now reached to at that level, which I don't think it's a huge accomplishment, but I'm now happy just to be a foot soldier. It doesn't make any difference. Committee chairman bonaise ne general secretary bonaise ne ene muk rasta side of thio korai thise, it doesn't matter. Moi jodi contribute korbo parisu, I am happy with myself. And that is where I think I have evolved, where I have been able to get out of these small egos. And always remember, the olden days, all these terms we are rediscovering. But actually, if you read right from the Upanishads to the Puranas or even other religious scriptures and also, there are lots of things which has been described a long time ago. Whether you talk about Kabir's Dohas, Yeah, or you talk about those English proverbs, the empty vessels make the largest noise and those sort of things. Actually, these are very true. These are really true things. But somehow, somewhere, we forgot about all those things. And now we are trying to rediscover all these things again with different names. But the
Okay.
most important thing is to keep ourselves open and receptive. If we close ourselves too much, whether it is by your ego that, yeah, I am the only one who knows, nobody else can teach me anything, then you won't know anything at all. The first thing to learn is to know that I don't know anything. Yeah. And you've probably heard about this. There is something called Johari's window. If you
Yes.
haven't studied this, then do check this out. It's called Johari's window. So Johari's window is it's a
Very
square broken into 4 quadrants, right? So now stage one is we don't know what we don't know. Stage
Stage
two
one
is
is stage one is
don't,
we don't know, others
yeah.
have.
So
I
we
don't know
know
about
what we
myself.
don't know, right? And then it's a final level is we know what we know and we don't know what we don't know. So that is your final evolution. So most people are in the stage that we don't know what we don't know, but we think we know everything. So
Others' feedback is also essential here in Johari's thing
yes,
because
that is
I know something about myself. Everyone knows. That is
mm,
good. But I know something about myself. I don't know something about myself, but others know. That is why feedback taking is very essential
very
in
important,
this
very
career.
important. Yes.
Yeah, and um, I know something about me, but others don't know. মোৰ আছে কিবা সেইটোখিনি মই মই ফাইণ্ড আউট মই মানুহক ওলাই দিয়া নাই কিন্তু সেইটো বেলেগেও নাজানে
Mm,
আৰু কিছুমান আছে I also don't know, the others also don't know the
mm.
darkest part, and that is the main thing that that you have tapped.
Yes. So I think that is where your 360-degree feedback comes in very important. 360-degree feedback is something which I think it's a very new thing in India. ইয়াতে কৰিব লগা হয় তেনেকে শিকিলো. So where you do your self-assessment and then you find out whether others' assessment is similar to what you are, or what your assessment is. You may think you are a very compassionate person, but others may write that no, he is not compassionate at all. So then there is a big discrepancy, right? That means that you haven't discovered yourself, you haven't known your flaws, and that is where the problem comes in. So there is some sort of disalignment, there is some sort of misalignment. So
Here
all of
what you
these things
said,
are very, very important, acceptance, your communication skills, you're being honest to yourself, then getting being open to feedback, understanding that there are certain things. Nobody can know everything, so I cannot know everything either. And then comes your other things, like which I practiced, and I think that has helped me with my business. At one point, I was running 5 clinics in London, and I had 52 employees. And one of the things which really helped me was that I never said no to any opportunity. I always kept myself open. So whenever somebody comes in with any opportunity, so I took over 4 practices where the partners were either very old or they were not able to cope, and they came to me. It wasn't always the right decision, but I kept myself open and I said, yes, tell me. And then the first meeting would just go with exploration, the second meeting with further exploration. Only after 3-4 meetings, when I would find out that if yeah, this is going to work or not work, then I would take a decision. But if you say no to anything, however big the challenge is, then you shut the door right at the beginning. So it is very important to keep open. Similarly, I will give you another example as well. As a doctor, it is very important to keep our mind open as to what the diagnosis may be. And that is what many of the doctors do wrong. They think right the moment the patient comes in through the door, they've already made up their mind. Or this may be a problem with the heart, or this may be a problem with the bone. Yeah. And once you close the diagnosis, then your eyes don't see what your brain doesn't know. So they don't look at any other possible alternative diagnosis and all that. So again, that is an example where we have to keep ourselves open. We have to always question ourselves whether our decision making is right. We have to understand whether somebody else, if they're saying this thing, it may be that they are right, I am wrong. So these are ways where you filter out, and actually at the end of the day, it helps you more than anybody else.
So what? I'm coming back to her question. Your speech also it said, revealed. First thing about diagnosis, your evaluation, self-evaluation. Many people they could not do that. They could not find that. You have spoken about George's window, and there also one thing is there, which someone they need help. Someone has to pick them up. That they know something about themselves, but some inhibition stopped them. They could not express it. For example, I didn't know that I could write poems, but during COVID time, I found out, because before that I wrote 2 or 3 poems, but during that time I was like I could find out that thing, but I don't want to express. Later on, then I started expressing. So many people they need intervention in that, and there are certain things. So most difficult thing is that I don't know. There are a lot of potentials are there in me, which I also don't know. Other people also don't know, and there are certain techniques and methods which helps people to tap on those things, potentials, because that needs some can they can self-reflect and they can get into it, but many people they can't. So they need certain trainings. They need certain they need to go through certain techniques, and that is why interventions of people like the psychologists or some trainers are essential. Otherwise, what you said, whatever you said, if people have those qualities, then they can self-evolve.
So can we take up some questions from the audiences?
Yes.
Or it will keep on going and going?
No. Yes, it will be better to if they interact with us.
Yes.
You can speak in Assamese also.
Yeah.
We have a very senior person, Dilip Kumar Sharma sir, who is from Guwahati Management Association. And during COVID, we had a lot of talks.
Namaskar, sir.
Hello.
Kok, sir.
Sir.
Hello.
Yes. We can. You're audible, sir.
You can hear me?
Yes,
sir.
Yeah.
Huh?
Perfectly audible, sir.
I am very much gained by your discussion. I am very much gained, and I get a lot of encouragement. Though I am 85 at the moment, I am running 85. I had a lot of problems in my life. I had cancer. I have hepatitis C. I had lost my left lung. In spite of all this, I
you are looking fine.
For...
You're okay, sir. You're looking fine. You're looking okay.
And I have got no. I'm a repentance. Actually, life, you'll have to fight in life. That is the only thing I can tell you. To survive, you have to struggle hard. You should depend on others. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. I will give you whatever you said, sir. Absolutely right. Especially, more at a horror example at a due. Just day before yesterday, more at a English waiter at us. He I play more koise the battery to Keko. The battery to Kiman in but Tini Hopta. Most Tonto at a battery to Tini Hopta Keko, Amar Indian to battery Soma Salabo. কৈছে কেনেকে মই কৈছো আমি প্ৰথমতে এইটো কেইদিনমানৰ কাৰণে এইটো ঠাণ্ডা জেগাত ক'ৰবাত ড্ৰয়াৰ এটাত থওঁ তাৰপিছত ইউজ কৰিম তেতিয়া চলিব তাৰপিছত নচলা হলে আমি কেইদিনমান ৰ'দত থওঁ তেতিয়াও চলিব সেইবোৰ নকৰাৰ পিছত আমি দাঁতেদি কামুৰি মেলি বেকা বেকি কৰিও কেইদিনমান চলাম হা মই কৈছো চা these are all parts of survival যদি if you have to live and survive within a billion people the only thing you can do is to fight for your survival
Exactly.
সেই বস্তুটো সেই বেটাৰীৰ মানে হেৰি এক্সাম্পলে দিয়া তোমাৰ এডুকেশ্যনৰ এক্সাম্পল দিয়া everything in life is about survival and we have
And
to
each
find
man
our
is an
own way
isolated island. Each man is an isolated island.
oh sir
Each
yes
man is an isolated island.
But-
So we have
but
to
sir-
fight for our own survival.
But
No
your
doubt.
your positivity and that fighter spirit.
You must have a positive thinking all the time to come.
Yes.
yes sir
Your positivity
You must be
and
very
your fight,
positive.
your positivity and fighter spirit has helped you to be like this. Many people they don't have any may not have such diseases like you, but they are older than you because you used to always you are very you are craving for good things. Whenever you see something good, you tell people. Your empathy is so high. You called me a lot of times earlier, so that helped you. Your gratefulness, your gratitude, your I have seen that your positive thing, your empathy level, those things help you. And you're a person having you have a very high emotional intelligence, and during COVID you were alone, so still you have that determination. You have
and
that,
that positivity is a big medicine in itself more people die from the scare of dying than the actual death
it
there
is
is a saying,
inevitable.
cowards
You have
die
to
many
accept.
times before their death but valiants die only once
That's the thing. That is
Similarly,
imminent. That is
exactly.
inevitable. Inevitable.
Similarly, more people
That you
die
have to
from
accept.
eating or overeating than from hunger. So,
Any
apuni
more?
কথাখিনি একদম ঠিক. So, can we have some more questions? আৰু কোনবাই কিবা
Aroti,
discuss কৰিব?
I think they're leaving one by one.
okay.
না গীতাঞ্জলি আছে, দীক্ষিতা আছে, কংকন আছে, আৰতি আছে.
Aroti, yes.
We wanted to have it for 40 minutes, but I think it's more
Okay.
than 1 hour. It's very
So-
interesting, it will go on and on. So
আৰতি
I think
কিবা
we should-
কবা?
মই মানে প্ৰগ্ৰামটো আজি চাই বহুত মানে শুনি পেলাই কথাখিনি শুনি বহুত ইনস্পিৰেশ্যন পাইছো আৰু মানে এনেকুৱা লাগিছে যে মানে মানুহৰ লাইফটোত মানে একোৱে নাই মানে মানে প্ৰতিটো মানে কাম যেনেকে
বহুত আছে লাইফটোত কিয় নাই?
নহয় নহয় সেইটো কোৱা নাই যেতিয়া মানে এটা সময় আহে সেই সময়টোত অকণ হতাশাত ভোগে আজি সীমান্ত দাই যিখিনি কথা ক'লে বা ভাস্কৰ দাই যিখিনি কথা ক'লে সেই কথাখিনিৰ পৰা এটাই বুজি পাইছো মানে মানুহ মানে এটা টাইমত এনেকুৱা হয় কিন্তু তাৰ পিছত মানুহ আগবাঢ়ি গৈ বহুত কিবা কিবি কৰিব পাৰে মানে অনেষ্টিটো মেইন সেই কথাখিনি বুজি পালো আৰু সীমান্ত দা মই হেল্ল'
শুনি আছো কোৱা।
সীমান্ত দা আপোনাক মানে আজি এই প্ৰগ্ৰামটোত এটা কথা কওঁ মোৰ বিপৰ্যয়ৰ সময়ত আপুনি যিটো 2021 চন এটা ইনস্পিৰেশ্যন মানে মোৰ পাইছিলো মোক 1000 টকা 1000 টকাটোৱে মোৰ বহুত কামত দিছিলে মই আজি এই প্ৰগ্ৰামটোতে কৈ দিছো বহুত ইনস্পিৰেশ্যন পাইছিলো আপুনি মোক এটা মানে হেৰি কৰিছিলে মই কথাখিনি এটো কাৰণে কৈছো যে এই কথাখিনিৰ পৰা এজন মানুহ বহুতখিনি ডেভেলপ হ'ব পাৰে মানে সেই কথাখিনিৰ কাৰণে ক'বলৈ গৈছো বহুত ভাল লাগিলে প্ৰগ্ৰামটো
Thank you.
তোমাৰ পৰা বহুত ইনস্পিৰেশ্যন।
গীতাঞ্জলি কংকন কিবা গীতাঞ্জলি
এক ঘণ্টা হৈ গ'ল, কোনোবা ক'ব লগা আছে নেকি আৰু? I think
So we'll keep on continuing this. We'll make
Yeah.
series of this discussions and we can continue. And I think we should end this here. It's very interesting. We can go on and on for 2 more hours, but still, and before we end, I want to say one thing. I disagree with Dr. Bhaskar Bora. One thing he said, I'm not spiritual. I don't agree, because spirituality is when you can say, I'm nothing. I'm nobody. When you know that, that means you are spiritual. It's not about the other things, but to understand that I cannot do anything
True,
on my own.
true.
So
No,
you
I did
are
not
very
say I'm not
spiritual.
spiritual. I said I'm not sure if I'm spiritually evolved
You
or
are,
not.
because I can get
I
the
am
vibes.
emotionally evolved.
It has to be that.
Yeah,
That it has that that made you from reactive to responsive. That is very important. The
true.
reactive to responsive. That journey. The first thing is that how will you bring thoughts into you. So to bring that thoughts, because from instinctiveness to bringing the thoughts, it's not easy. You have to take a deep breath. You have to do certain things. Then only your thoughts and that filtering process comes. It's a process as you do. So thank you, I think. So yeah, over to Angsumala, please.
So it's a very, I really enjoyed it a lot personally. I mean, I want to keep on continuing discussing these things, and everybody seems to be very engrossed, and so many new things came up. I mean, Simanta Goswami, he was talking about the different terms, technical terms, and through your experience of how you have dealt with the same things, it became a very clear concept. And personally, I think that we should come up with some course, some programs, where the program may include one of your session, Dr. Bhaskar, like when you're saying this thing, the other person, like I said, he's a healthy person, but he's having inhibitions. He doesn't know his
Mhm.
potential. So he will go home and he'll after he will do the course. He will think that if this man is able to do so many things in this position, that means that I can do much more. It will motivate, and also it will program his mind. He will understand that there are the different techniques that we can use from experienced people, from trained coaches and trainers, that we can use this to overcome. So I think synergy will
Definitely.
bring
Yeah.
all these things. We are working on it, so it's a very interesting topic today. We'll do more series on this. We'll invite more guests. We'll have Dr. Bhaskar often, because I think that he'll be a better person to motivate, because he has such, in your, this one is very impactful, when you're saying things, I experienced this, then I had gone through this, and then I understood this. So it's with some examples. So looking forward to more such concepts. So over to Simanta Goswami. Let us end this.
So I extend my heartfelt thanks to Mr. Bhaskar. And yes, we have, we are coming out with some, very effective and customized courses. And I would say that I can give a
Mhm.
clarion call that this is, these courses will be very effective from the child to the, the job holder or the senior most person.
Senior.
Everyone can come. We have also a very, beautiful place where people will become meditative, where there will be no phones. We are preparing such courses also. Those will be activity based. So to increase your emotional intelligence, to decrease your stresses. So there will be different methods and scientific. It's proven methods, I would say, scientific or pseudo scientific, whatever it is. And so we are working on that, research on that. Bhaskar, I'll also come back to you. So we'll also take your opinion, and somehow, somewhere, we can also get synergized. And I would extend my heartfelt thanks and my regards to Dilip Sharma, sir, and thanks to all my friends, you know, my sister Arti, and all the people who are present. Thank you. God bless you all. Be happy. Be
And thank you,
positive.
Dr. Bhaskar Bora, for being so cooperative and so humble. And it became so easier for me to communicate with you. And I've become like,
Thank you. Thank
very
you.
friendly. So we'll
Thank you. Now
keep
we
on.
will keep in touch. because I am also interested, because I think Synergy is a very good platform. It has a lot of potential, and if planned properly, done properly, there are lots of things which can be done. I'm always available to do something for Assam.
Yeah.
So that is my giving back to the community. So if I can do that, and in general, I think it's a relatively new concept what you are planning to do. And Simanto, I know he has been very helpful to me. As much as I have inspired him, he has inspired me as well. So, and I think we have lots of ideas which we can work together on. So I'm very much for it. So yeah, let's hope for the best and plan towards it. So
Okay.
Azika Nimante Hamaru.